Hey guys, and welcome to Let's Hash It Out podcast. This is a space where we have unfiltered and real conversations about life, faith, and everything in between. I'm Zahra, and I'm here with my co host Amira.
Yes, we are starting with a deep one. Do we really know ourselves truly? Because sometimes we think we do, but life humbles us.
Right, like I used to think I always knew me, but sometimes certain things happen or certain situations happens where you're forced to see yourself in a different way. So today we are unpacking that. Let's get into it. There is this moment where we all experience at some point where we stop and think, wait, who am I really? Not in a surface level way, but deep down, do we really know ourselves? Have we just been playing a version of ourselves that makes sense to the world?
It's like, are we truly in control of our thoughts, our choices, and our identity? Or have we just picked up pieces from our society and culture or family and call it it's me?
That's what we are getting into today. The scary but necessary journey of truly knowing yourself.
So let's start with a question. What does it actually mean to know yourself?
We tend to think knowing ourselves means knowing our favorite color, our music taste, or our personal type. But if you strip down all the layers and ask ourselves, who are we when no one is watching?
And that's the scariest part. Because when you sit in silence with yourself, sometimes you realize you don't even know what you actually like or what you truly believe.
Right? It's so easy to confuse who am I and what I was told to be, whether it's family, expectations, social media, or just survival mode we adapt, but is that really us?
Why do you think so many of us avoid asking ourselves these deep questions?
Because it's uncomfortable when you start peeling back all those layers and you might not like what you find, or maybe you realize you've been faking confidence or you've been chasing things that don't even make you happy.
Or worse, maybe you realize you don't know what makes you happy at all, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, because it forces you to ask, if I'm not the person I thought I was, and then who am I? And if I don't know, then what does it mean for everything I've built around me?
Okay, so let's make this real for everyone listening. What are some signs that maybe you don't know yourself as much as you thought? Zura, I'm gonna ask you a question. Can you state what you stand for in life?
I stand for growth, faith, resilience. I believe in continuously growing, whether it's self reflection, life experience, or education. My faith also grounds me a lot. I value honesty, deep connection, and creating a space where people can be real about their struggles and wins. And sometimes I embrace that I don't have all the answers and I'm still figuring out and learning every day.
Okay.
Do you change your personality depending on the situation or the person you are with?
Yes, as I was growing, I felt that I constantly changed my character around people. Came to realize I was being a people pleaser. So I started researching and trying to understand why I was doing it. Then came to see that it was my environment and the way I was raised was the cause.
Okay.
My question to you, do you feel lost or insecure when you don't get approval?
Yes, I used to. I used to feel lost when I did not get approval, especially when I was younger. But over time, I realized that the more I expected from people, the more I got hurt. So I stopped seeking for reactions or applauses from other people and started to focusing on generally seeing what makes me happy, as long as it's right with my values and aligns with my beliefs. I don't see what's stopping me. And that's what matters to me more than if people approve it or not. I feel like I just tend to not care anymore. Does it
Yeah.
make me happy? Go for it. It doesn't make me happy, then look for another plan.
Yeah. There's some people who are like that.
Mm.
It's okay.
It's a way. Amira,
Yeah.
what do you feel like you can sit with yourself without distraction like social media, TV, or even people around you? Like, can you just sit a few minutes with yourself and just be with your thoughts?
Yes. But
Mhm.
I tend to go to distraction
Mhm.
because sometimes I'm not ready to face my thoughts or emotions.
Mm.
And that leads to continuous overthinking.
Mm.
And I start questioning, why do I overthink?
Mhm.
Then I realized that I was angry at myself that I didn't handle the situation better.
True, I actually very much agree because whenever we start overthinking, it's always about us not happy of where we are.
Yeah.
If any of these hits you a little bit too hard, don't worry, you're not alone.
If you think you cannot answer this question, this might be a sign you might not know yourself.
Yeah. Amira, since you speak of overthinking, how did you come over it and how do you think you're managing it currently?
I think through journaling, it
Mhm.
has helped me a lot. I started this type of journaling called recording journaling,
Mhm.
where I use my phone, like the voice memo,
Mhm.
voice recording,
Yeah.
and talk about what I was feeling that day, how I could handle it.
Mhm.
And it makes my heart feel peaceful
Mhm.
and my mind calm.
Nice.
Yes.
Do you think you feel like you less overthink right now?
Yes,
Okay.
because I already talk about the situation.
Yeah. It's out of your system now.
Yeah, so I don't have to.
Okay. For me, I would say maybe some people find their peace in journaling like Amira. I find my peace in activities such as swimming, running, or walking. Being in the water, kind of where you have no distractions around you, you have no phone, you have nothing. So you're forced to sit with your thoughts and just go through them and feel them and see what you could do better next time so I can take a better action next time I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Long walks, I think, just the seeing of nature and just walking through nature. I just remember the power of God subhanahu wa ta'ala and I just remember I'm like, subhanallah, if God did all of this and my problem is this. So how can he not figure it out for me?
Yeah, the long walks are better. Like the day we did the Karura forest.
Yeah.
Seeing that nature, walking in the forest, I feel like your mind gets
Cleared up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever made a decision that went against what others expected?
Yes, I have. There have been times when I chose a path that did not align with what others expected from me, especially society or family expectations. But I knew it was the right decision for me at that time. At first, it was difficult because I was continuously worried, like, will there be disappointment? I was fearing their disappointment, I was fearing their judgment. But then I realized that living according to others' expectation would only make me sad, would only make me unhappy in the long run. Because after a few days, everybody forgets about whatever incident happened.
Yeah.
So I learned that I cannot please everyone around me. Sometimes making a decision that aligns with my values and goals is worth the discomfort for it. Like, I can be discomforted for being against the norm. But if I'm okay with it and I can sleep at night with it, then I'm proud of me.
You're proud of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is something that you currently added to your life that you see change or you got to know a bit more of yourself with?
I think is praying tahajjud, I feel like, for me. And praying tahajjud, talking to my emotions to Allah and asking for guidance and help, because that helped me a lot to understand myself better and to connect to God better.
Yeah.
Because I feel like whenever I pray, my mind gets peaceful, even if there's a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
you feel calm.
Yeah. So that's something I was loving for a while right now.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
I also believe that so much. It can be in the form of praying. It can be the form of just sit And talk to God.
Yeah.
Like you talk to a friend or your parents
Yeah.
or the person you trust with your problems.
Mm.
And subhanah, the
Mm.
more I started believing, the more you just leave things in the hands of God, you just start becoming even peacer, lighter. You just feel like a feather. Sometimes you're like, subhanallah, when you know, like, you would worry about like, why did this thing break, and you put yourself in a lot of stress and
Situation.
yeah. But then right now you're like, it's broke, but it was written for it to be
was
broke.
written for it to be
What
broke.
could I have done? If I would
Yeah.
have moved anything differently, it would have still broke, because that was His timing. So when you come to just realizing and just tawakkul ala Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Allah.
it just becomes so nice, subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So yeah.
So Zuhra, how can we allow ourselves to evolve without fear?
That's a good question. Okay. Personally, allowing myself to evolve without fear has been a journey, okay, for self-acceptance. I used to be afraid of change, and I worried of how people would perceive me, whether I was making the right choices or living up to their expectations and standards. But over time, I realized that fear was keeping me stuck in a place that I had outgrown. Now, like, I look at it and I'm like, if I stayed there, I would have been not in the best mindset at all.
Yeah.
Also, I think continuously reminding myself that growth is supposed to feel uncomfortable, which means I'm like stepping into something new. I can't be comfortable continuously.
Yeah.
I learned how to be comfortable in discomfort.
Yes. You have to be discomfort if you're willing to take a change in life.
And then I've also learned to stop seeking validation from others. The more I relied on their approvals, and the more I felt like I was lost when I didn't get them. So instead of waiting for permission, I started asking myself, does it align with my values? Does it feel right for me? If the answer at any cost becomes yes, that's good enough for me. That means I'll pursue it. Fear of the unknown is still something that's there in me sometimes, but then I try to see it differently. Instead of assuming the worst, I ask myself, what if change can lead me to somewhere better? Like that shift in mindset, like, it's okay, it's not something that I'm comfortable with, but if I could just think of it like, maybe I can be a billionaire out of it, why not be happy? Yeah.
Why don't be happy about it?
Yeah. So I remind myself that I'm allowed to change. I'm not meant to be the same person I was a year ago or even yesterday. Growth is not having it all figured out. Growth is not accepting what other people do to you.
Yeah, because every growth is different for each person.
And it's about trusting yourself enough to move forward. And even when you have zero answers, you just trust your gut and go with it, I feel like. Because the more you wait for answers and just look around you and be like, I want an answer, I want to see what this person did when they made this choice.
Yeah.
I feel like we tend to forget that everybody has their journey and they're living towards their potential and not your potential.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. I think that was one of the ways I started to discover. Also, I would love to say, since it's Ramadan and the time for like ibadah, salah, saum, and all of that, that maybe we can just give some time and just ask for God to give us clear like vision of ourselves and where we want to put it in the next few months. And if you can answer any of these questions, then we are very proud of you and we are happy to know that we know ourselves.
Yeah.
And trust me, nobody should, if you can answer that question for yourself, then nobody should tell you what's the right answer or the wrong answer, because there is no right or wrong other than what you know.
Yep.
And you are the only one who knows yourself better
than any other person around you.
Yeah. So keep it up. You're doing a wonderful job, and we are always here to listen to you. But just remember this, at all costs. I feel like we always tend to think of, I'm young, I don't know the best in this topic, or I'm young, I feel like I don't have that right to ask it.
I feel like it's not good to say that, because as you grow, as you get to know things. So like, even if you see somebody who's 40 and you're like, oh, they know better than me,
It's not really the case.
it's not really the case. Everybody
Has their life journey.
Yeah, and as you grow, as you get to know things, maybe sometimes you know more things than that person because of your journey.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
And remember, you cannot judge people by their actions.
No.
You judge people by their actions, but then at the end of the day, it's not your place to judge them, it's God's place.
Yep.
And I'll say, for people who are trying to still figure out themselves, I can give you guys a bit more questions that could help you enlighten or get to know yourself better, which is, what don't I like about whatever's going on, or what makes me feel like I'm low. I feel like those things, you get to know whatever you don't like. Because I'm a person who really believes, I'm not sure if everybody is the same, but Amira, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think if I know what I don't like, at least I know something, you know? You're like, okay, now I can move on and try the next thing so that I see if I like it or not.
Because that's a good thing. Because I feel like when you're growing up also, you get to know what you don't like. Have you seen how children sometimes, they're like, I don't like this. Because that's part of growth. It has to be part of growth, where you grow up and you're like, I don't like the way this thing is set.
Yeah.
Because that's you don't like it. Somebody else can come, they might like it, because that's them. So you have to respect that.
Yeah. And you also have to respect people's opinion and people's thoughts, because not everyone thinks like you, and not everyone had the same life you had.
Yep.
And that goes to me too.
I think that goes to everyone, to the world. Yeah.
So,
since it's Ramadan, we're going to add few du'as that you can keep it in your routine.
اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والسداد، وأن تنير لنا طريقنا وتجعلنا ممن يهتدون بهداك، ويسرنا على نورك، وأن تبصرنا الحقيقة بحقيقة أنفسنا وغايتنا في هذه الدنيا. اللهم أرنا الحقائق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الضعف والوهن، ونسألك قوة القلب وثباتة في العزيمة. يا رب اجعل قلوبنا ممتلئا بالثقة بك، ومحميا من خوف الناس ومخاوف الدنيا. اللهم انزل سكينة على قلوبنا، وزدنا طمأنينة وإيمانا بقدرك. اللهم اجعل في قلوبنا نورا، وفي ألسنتنا نورا، وفي سمعنا نورا، وفي بصرنا نورا. اللهم اجعلنا راضيين بقضائك، مطمئنين بقدرتك، ومستحلفين لنعمك على وجه الأرض. اللهم لا تزع قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا، وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة، إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وارزقنا الصبر والثبات واليقين. اللهم إنا نسألك صدق النية في أعمالنا، ورضاك في قلوبنا، وأن تكون راضيا عن أنفسنا في طاعتك، غير متعلقا برأي أحد إلا بحكمك وشرعك. اللهم اجعلنا في عيوننا صغرا، وفي أعين الناس كبيرا. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يبتغون وجهك وحدك في أعمالهم. اللهم يا مدبر الأمور ويا ميسر الأقدار، دلنا على ما تحب، وارزقنا القوة للثبات عليه. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يسيرون في طريق الحق والنور، وارزقنا بصيرة توجه للخير. اللهم إنا لما أنزلت إلينا من خير فقير، فارزقنا الرؤية والإلهام ينير طريقنا ويثبتنا على طاعتك. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. So, let's leave you with a thought. If you had to introduce yourself to someone, not with your name or job or hobbies, but with who you are truly, what would you even say?
Even if you don't have an answer, that's okay. Maybe that's the start of you figuring it out. We want to hear from you. DM us, comment. Let's start this conversation. And don't forget to tune in next week, because we are talking about something we all go through. What happens when faith feels distance?